So tell me about Pat the Yank.
Pardon?
Tell me about Pat the Yank. What you remember about him?
Pat
The
Catherine.
Yank.
Or the Yank. Well, the Yank came from, apparently, I was only very young at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But like there was a big family of us. But we were always interested in travel and the outside world, where other people might not be.
Mm-hmm.
And we were good readers.
Mm-hmm.
And when Pat Casserly came, we always wanted to know about America and about, he was always there to tell us something. And the children, he would sit at a big fire, home fire, and he would be telling us all these stories. And the little children would all gather round him. They loved to hear stories about other countries. And you could not put the children to bed if Pat Casserly was there.
So
And
cool.
my mother was a good cook, all right. And my mother always gave them, something to eat or drink and that.
Mm-hmm.
But the children weren't bothered. They didn't want him to eat even. We loved to tell, and he always had something to tell us.
And where was he from in America? Do you remember?
I don't know where now.
Could it have been
I
Rhode
was very
Island?
young at that time when I remember him. But we loved to hear about other, America and his travels and that.
And who was Tom? Tom was his brother?
Tom Cassidy was his brother, but I don't remember him. I think he was a kind of a heavy-set man, and he was a bit odd.
Another one.
Like he was a quiet kind of a man. But Pat Cassidy was the one that talked. He was in America or whatever, and he was always there to tell us something, and the children just loved to hear it. We didn't have all that many visitors.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother loved to entertain people. And when she got married, she couldn't understand why she should marry into some place so isolated as our house. But we had a beautiful farm, and the island of Ferrange belonged to my father and 3 other people in the neighbourhood or that area. But
Probably
my father,
Pete Scally too.
that's right, the Scallys,
Yeah.
and I suppose somebody else. And my father owned the island of Ferrange. There were French people that owned the island to begin with, and I think they were bought over years ago. But my father loved. We loved to hear the stories of other countries, and he was the one who would be able to tell us, and we would relate it to the children in school and everything. But we loved to see him coming, and my mother loved to give
What
him
did he look
something
like?
to eat.
Do you remember what he looked like?
He was a tall, stately man, and very well read, I'd say. And we loved to hear him, and my mother loved to entertain him. When my mother got married, she didn't realise, at that time, they weren't courting so long and that, and she didn't realise that we lived in by the Shannon, and that we owned part of an island, and that if my father, at that time, now they don't use it only for recreation, but at that time, there was 3 neighbours that owned it, I think, with my father. But my father owned the biggest lot. And if they we used to, as children, our job was to keep the cattle together, so as that when they got out far enough in the Shannon, they would swim to the island.
Wow.
And sometimes my father always owned very nice horses and that. And one time, we'd see in the morning, we'd see the cattle over by, but sometimes the cattle used to get lonely, and they would swim back to our farm again. And the name of the farm was the Top of the Wood, was the nearest part.
Oh.
And when they come back to the top of the wood, then they would have to halter them and put them back again, or leave them at home. My father loved, he always had nice horses. And
Well, he probably used them for the farm too.
yeah,
Did he?
whatever my father had, he had good horses and cattle and things like that. And we were children, we had to work a little bit on the farm when we were weeding, and we had a beautiful garden, flower gardens, and we had a big orchard where I think it was 18 apple trees. I suppose
Wow.
it's still there. And we always knew that where the ripe apples came out. And when everyone's back was turned, our job was to climb up the apple trees, and right at the top you would get the red apples, the good apples. And we loved it. We loved that. And we had apples and gooseberries and cherry tree.
Wow.
And the cherry tree was isolated. But we were very careful of that cherry tree, that nobody touched it, or the school children or that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And we took first prize for our farm in the county one time.
Wow.
Yes.
Like the pride of place.
And we used to say that the reason why they got the prize was that when we were children, we used to weed a little of the drills and things like that. My father always had very good, I remember the name of some potatoes, and they were called Kerr Pig. And they were kind of pinkish looking potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was big potatoes, and they called them Arden Banners. I'm telling you these crazy things about
Tell her something about your mother before she died.
But my mother, apparently she wasn't good. You know, at that time they were made matches and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And my father was supposed to be a very good farmer and had a very nice farm. So when my mother got married, and when she realised, she lived beside the town of Roscommon, and she went to the convent schools and things like that. She was well educated in her own way. And when she got married, I think must have been a made match. My father was a good match or whatever, that's what he used to say long ago. And when she realised that she had lived in Gala beside the Shannon, oh Lord.
She didn't want to go.
Oh my God. But of course, she had a big family, and she was the kind of a person. She went to school. She was well.
What did she say? Didn't she tell your father that she'd be a good mother to his children?
Oh, we had a big family, as you know. But one of our jobs was when the cattle used to go out to Furnish Island. We as children, we could swim or walk, you know, and we would keep the cattle together, and we would go far enough out that the cattle would swim.
That's so cool.
And it used to be lovely to get up in the morning and see the horse and foals over in Furnish.
And tell me about the Farrells in Darn. Did you ever go to visit them as a child?
Oh yes, I remember Farrells. We had an Uncle Willie, and he was a very conservative man, and he loved his farm and everything, but he was a kind of a snob, so to speak. You know, at that time
And he was married to a Gavigan?
He was married to a Gavigan.
Right.
That's right. You're right. And I remember they built a lovely, nice house. Then afterwards, the first house was not big enough.
Mm-hmm.
But they had lovely trees and that. And he used to plant special trees like palm trees and that kind of thing to make his house nice.
And he had 5 boys and a girl? Remember that?
I think that was it. Mommy was the only girl. One.
And then he had a sister named Sarah. Did you have an Aunt Sarah? You were named for her.
Oh, who was Sarah now?
Sarah was your grandfather's sister. Your grandfather Farrell's sister.
They had a habit of calling.
And she married a Finneran man.
Oh, that's right. She knows more about the family than I do.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh no,
Well, tell her
I'm just
this.
bringing it back to you. You know more than I do.
Oh, yeah.
Tell her the story.
Oh, the
you tell
Fennards
me.
were very nice.
Sarah, tell her the story you tell me about your mom when she got married and was lonely because she didn't know nobody there.
Because she didn't.
Remember when you said your mom got married
Yes.
and she was lonely? She had just got married.
Oh, that's right. When she didn't realize, she lived near the town of Roscommon,
Yeah.
and she went to the convent school, and she had a good education in her own way, you know, at that time. And then she, apparently, when she married my father, and after I suppose they got settled down, she began to realize that she lived in our old home, which was, I know there was 40 acres of land, and but my mother was lonely, very lonely, and we loved the Shannon as children, loved it,
And
and
she
we
was
loved to go
she
to
was worried.
Furnish the island and that. The children all loved where we lived, but my mother really never, well, she did as the children grew up, but she was